Someone stole over $21 million from the president's supporters and his wife in what I believe is the first ever presidential insider trading case. And I'm going to track down the person responsible in this video. You may have heard Melania Trump recently announced a meme coin, which is not great. But worse, it was heavily sniped, meaning front run by 24 secret wallets who made $100 million in profit, according to the Financial Times. And today, we're going to prove why I believe at least $21 million of that wasn't just early trading, it was insider trading from wallets which bought Melania coins before Melania Trump announced it existed. This is called sniping, by the way. In crypto, that's when you buy a coin before anyone else knows about it and sell it when it pumps. Now, usually this is done with bots within the first
new robot, new side character.
seconds of an announcement. But in this case, Melania's coin was bought before it was announced by these secret wallets. And my question is, how can that be? How did
I'm sure that wherever they're hosted, Coinbase or whatever exchange it's on, it probably gets, there's probably like an API that somebody is, or I'm sure it has some API that's sending out like a thing that you can check for new coins listed or some bullshit. Does that make sense? I'm sure there must be some interface that Coinbase has that is like announcing coins every time they're listed on there. There must be.
these traders know about Melania coin before it was announced?
Maybe because they had inside information.
Well, maybe. But the challenge is proving that. Proving they weren't just smart or lucky, but actually insider traded. And to begin my search for the truth here, I called up one of the reporters for the Financial Times story, and you'll notice he stops just short of saying what we all expect. I asked him, how did these people know about this coin?
These are people spending, by any measure, significant sums of money on this. So when you're thinking about, is this, what are these, who are these people? The first thing to know is they're quite confident. One of our earlier stories on this sort of theme was the number of spam coins that were instantly minted and sent to Trump in an attempt to basically create fake official Trump coins.
God, do you think there's going to be some video where Coffezilla is on the phone with Trump?
So in that context, remember, think about that, you're willing to spend $100,000, say, on this thing in an environment where there are loads of fakes. So you have to know something. Surely you have to know something. So that's why we think the grounds for suspecting these people know something is about to happen, that she's about to post endorsing, is quite high.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right, it seems obvious they knew something they shouldn't have, but can we prove they had insider information? If we're gonna do that, we need to not just find Melania Sniper, prove who they are, we have to prove that they had access to insider information to make sure they weren't just a lucky trader. And so to find that, I know we need to now do some tracing. So here's the list of the first 24 wallets who
Hold on, I'm memorizing this real quick. Okay.
bought Melania pre-announcement. Now, my main question was initially, are any of these sniper wallets linked to any publicly known wallets? And the answer is yes. Two of the wallets immediately stuck out to us because we believe they're tied to
Oh, yeah. I've seen these before. I think this first one is a guy named Hayden Davis.
Hayden Davis.
Oh, yeah, that guy for sure. I remember the number. Yeah.
Now, Hayden Davis, if you don't know, was recently involved in another presidential scandal with another president of Argentina, Javier Milei, with a meme coin called Libra. And Hayden later admitted to pulling out over $100 million out of the coin, which he promised to give back in an interview with me, and then he sort of vanished. But not before revealing a single clue, a wallet that he owned. We know this because Hayden Davis decided to refund Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports. Dave had lost $5 million, and Hayden wanted to pay him back on his losses. We have text messages published by Dave Portnoy where Hayden calls this wallet my personal money, which we can trade.
Hold on. Portnoy invested in a crypto hoping to get rich, because that's what everybody that buys into these shitco coins does. Lost his money and then cried like a little baby bitch publicly to get refunded? Am I understanding that story right? There's no shot that's what actually happened, is it? He's been doing that for like 50 coins? Well, that's okay, I guess. Because when he makes it big on a coin, does he donate all the money to everybody else that's lost in crypto, or?
Trace to Portnoy and use it to find Hayden's personal money wallet by just looking at who refunded him. We're going to label this refund as coming from Hayden's personal wallet. And if you notice, that wallet is only a few hops away from two of our sniper wallets, a red flag. Now, before I go further, I want to say these investigations take a lot of time. We are under constant legal threats, hence we are selling merch. This is for anyone who doesn't like memberships like Patreon. We don't take sponsorships here, so direct support is our model. We only do this once a year, so if you want to support, you can do so at Coffezilla.store for a limited time. We've got high-quality shirts, and for the first time, mugs that support our journalism. Our theme this year, crime is legal. It's a rather grim collection, and
Jesus, these are doomer shirts.
it's our new disclaimer, because it is a scary time to be reporting on scams if none of them ultimately get prosecuted. Nevertheless, this all brings us back to Hayden himself, who we're going to be tracing for insider trading. We have two sniper wallets linked to his personal wallet, which both bought Melania before the public launch, specifically seconds before launch. And we're going to go through the details of this, because first, the question is, how much money did they really make?
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a timeline for you. The first wallet, which spent $40,000 on Melania, bought 2 minutes and 21 seconds before announcement, and it later made $2.5 million in profit. The second wallet bought $800,000 of this meme coin 49 seconds before the announcement, and it made $18.5 million in profit. With both wallets starting to sell less than an hour after Melania had truthed about it, and both fully sold out in less than 30 days. Now, the time frame of this is super important because the public was told on the website of Melania Meme that the team tokens would be locked for the first 30 days. But apparently secret tokens were purchased by people who work with the team were not locked. We know this because Hayden Davis admitted himself to working with the Melania team on the launch and personally admitted to sniping it in an interview with me. Were you part of the Melania launch, and was that sniped as well?
I mean, you're asking a question that's it's just, I mean, I'll answer, but it's just
What is the thickness of these lenses? What the fuck? Or is this a meme pair of glasses, or that must be part of like the frame design back there?
factually going to put me into a lot of danger, which is fine. I'll answer. I was part of it. I think the team did want to snipe it because of how big the snipe was on Trump's.
But yeah, he kind of admits most of it. But at the time, we didn't know how damning
Why would you admit that?
this interview would turn out to be. For example, Hayden claimed that they were not the biggest sniper of this coin, for example, but that appears to not be true because, at least in terms of dollars spent, Hayden's team was the largest sniper. Hayden also told me that the Melania team didn't make any money from this drop, from the snipe, but it looks like someone did. Looks like it was either him or his team.
And we weren't the, we definitely weren't the big sniper. There was no money made from the Melania team on any, we didn't take any liquidity out. Zero.
And obviously, that's a huge omission. Maybe it's true that Melania's team made no money, but someone made tens of millions. And that person worked with the Melania team, or at least that's how it looks. Given how massive this allegation is, I didn't just want to rely on Hayden's word because it's connected to the president's wife. I didn't just want to rely on a single wallet either that Dave Portnoy tweeted about. It's circumstantial. It's not bulletproof yet. Rely on a single wallet either that...
God, this is actually so fucking cringe. Oh my God. Why would you, isn't he like worth 9 figures? And this guy's crying that he lost out on some crypto scam shit? Oh my God, it's actually so fucking, this might be the cringiest thing I've ever read in my entire life.
that Dave Portnoy tweeted about. It's circumstantial. It's not bulletproof yet. I wanted to dig deeper and get more concrete evidence, so I spoke with everyone around Hayden at the time, and I got access to insider text that happened the day of the Melania launch and at the time of the snipe. These have never been seen before. What I'm about to show you is a leaked group chat. And no, it's not about Houthi war plans. This is between Kelsier and DeFi Tuna. Kelsier is Hayden Davis's company, and DeFi Tuna is a company owned by our source, who was helping with the Melania launch. You'll also see Gideon Davis, the COO of Kelsier. He's in this chat. And we also have Vlad Pozniakov, who works for DeFi Tuna. He'll be important as well. Together, they're speaking about a job they're doing for the Melania coin, market making. This is all pre-announcement. Now, Gideon tells Vlad that he's going to get 1% of the total Melania supply, saying, quote, "Let's cook." Vlad replies, 10 million received, Melania starting to create some pools. We can see on the blockchain that transaction comes from an official Melania team wallet and occurs before the announcement, showing that this team really did work for the Melania team or with the Melania team. Our source says it was all for market making and, quote, "as legit as it comes." Quote, "Nothing bad, just liquidity provision." So this confirms at least half of our story that Hayden Davis really did work with Melania's team. It shows they were insiders on this launch, having real business connections and insider knowledge of the coin's launch since they got the details early with this transaction. But that's not all we find in these texts, because while market making, Gideon Davis, Hayden's brother, makes an odd request to Vlad. He says, quote, "Need you to send 1.5 million in Solana back. For the other tokens we talked about, may not need you to do anything. Gonna be tough at launch." Vlad says, "Okay, send address, please." Gideon provides it and asks for 5,600 in Solana. They decide to make a test payment of 1 Solana and then send the rest. Gideon replies, "Received." We can trace the exact timing of this to the public payments on the blockchain and the address we were given. And this is all moments before Melania's public announcement. That wallet then sends $800,000 in USDC to our sniper wallet, only 30 minutes before the public announcement. And then 49 seconds before it all happens, of course, this wallet then buys $800,000 worth of Melania pre-announcement, and the rest is history. This shows Kelsier is directly connected to the sniping of Melania at a time when the public believes team tokens are locked. But of course, the sales started right away. And where do the profits go? Well, a lot of it goes to Hayden Davis's personal wallet. Through 2 bridges, both snipers send their profits to what Hayden Davis described as his personal money wallet. which is why I've struggled to say whether this is Hayden's money or Kelsey or his company's money.
Why wouldn't you just use like a, how much money did the tumblers cost? Like, why wouldn't you just use one before and after your personal wallet connects to anything, or before you connect to an exchange? Why wouldn't you just always go through that?
His brother's money, because ultimately different players are talking here. But either way, this appears to be a very nasty case of insider trading at the expense of the president's supporters, who, let's be clear, were the people who bought this and ultimately, in my view, got scammed. They were under the distinct impression that tokens owned by people on the team would be locked for 30 days. And yes, you could argue Hayden wasn't directly on the team that we know of, or you could argue that he bought these off the open market just ahead of everyone else. But the clear impression from the website is there wouldn't be insiders dumping on you, right? For at least 30 days. And yet, that's exactly what happened. Now, for legal reasons, I have to state super clearly that I found no evidence that Melania Trump herself knew of this behavior, planned anything, profited. Instead, it appears that it's Kelsey, Hayden, and possibly his brother who orchestrated this or planned it. Obviously, these are serious allegations, so I have tried for weeks to reach Hayden and his brother Gideon for comment. They haven't replied so far. I will update the story if they do. But without their public comment, all I can say is that my conclusions are not just based on public information on the blockchain, not only an interview directly with Hayden Davis himself, it's also based on insider information and text that happened the day of launch and the day of the snipe. Now, just to be clear again, I don't claim that any of this is illegal. In fact, I believe quite the opposite. But I also think that there are unanswered questions here, and that ultimately people who trusted this website, which claimed this 30-day lockup, they got scammed. People who believed in a fair market that wasn't going to get front run by the team essentially got scammed. They were cheated by what I believe was insider trading on the president's wife's meme coin, which by itself is a mouthful. Now, I want to give a big thanks to not only the Financial Times, but also the crypto researcher Shady Oak, who helped me with blockchain tracing. If you want a flowchart of the basic allegations.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, chat.